Okay, let's see here. We are a few minutes late because I realized right at 10 that I didn't have a drink, and then also Stripey Cat wanted his breakfast at that time, so care of that. Now I gotta get all of these windows straightened out. Let's see. Once this, I need to get one more. Things new. How's it going, Paul Cutler? Good morning. It's a new kind of giant-ish. I mean, it's big for the compared to the size of everything else. This here appears to be new for the YouTube chat, which is kind of interesting. Good morning, C. Grover. All right, so let's get going for introductions. Good morning, hello, welcome to everyone. My name is Tim. Oh, that's running around all crazy now. I go by Foamy Guy on GitHub and Discord. We are, broadly speaking, work on CircuitPython. Ooh, this is not on correctly. Let me do this before I dump water on myself. Broadly speaking, we work on CircuitPython stuff on my stream. Most typically, if you haven't watched before or you're catching the VOD, you don't know what that is, CircuitPython, you can learn more about it here at the main website, circuitpython.org. This is basically a version of Python that runs on tiny computers called microcontrollers. I have today a Metro ESP-S3, and then I have a Shield on top of it, which we'll talk about in a bit. But these are tiny computers that can execute Python code. You plug it into your computer with a USB drive, USB cable, I should say, and then it shows up like a thumb drive. It shows up like a little storage volume, which has a code.py file on there. You edit that code.py file, you put your Python code inside there, and then when you save it, the computer that is on this little board will recognize that you have modified the code, and it will kind of restart and run the new version of that Python code. And it does the interpretation of that code right on the computer in this device. Interprets that Python code and executes it. Michael, how's it going? Good morning. So we will... let me also say CircuitPython is an open source project. Anybody is allowed to use it. Anybody's allowed to put it on their own hardware. There are 428 different boards. Lots of them are Adafruit, but lots of them are third parties as well. You can kind of add CircuitPython support to any piece of hardware as long as it's kind of a known main chip. It's pretty easy to port support for it to your device. And Adafruit, who does have a lot of their own devices, is the company that is primarily responsible for the financial backing of CircuitPython. They're paying the folks who work on the CircuitPython project, myself included. So thank you to Adafruit as always. And if you would like to help support the project and all of those of us that work on it, by proxy, you can do so by purchasing hardware from them. They manufacture and create all sorts of different electronic hardware. Sometimes it's the microcontrollers like the ones we just talked about that run CircuitPython. Other times it is ancillary peripherals and things that go along with the microcontrollers that you can hook up and do things with, or things like this in the case where it's kind of like a mounting bracket type thing that you can mount microcontrollers and other things too. So all sorts of goodies available from Adafruit. Head over there, buy yourself some toys, and thank you for doing so, because like I mentioned, as you purchase your toys from Adafruit.com, you're helping keep the CircuitPython project going. So what we're starting with is the Metro, like I said, and then also this TFT Shield, which is a newer version of an older, older project, I guess. This cat's running around like super crazy now. Hopefully he'll chill out. This is a shield that can go on top of a Metro, is what Adafruit calls this shape, but it's like the Arduino Uno shape. It's a very commonly used form factor for microcontrollers to come in. This shield fits on top of those devices. It plugs in on all the pins down both sides. It also plugs in on the little 6-pack, which you don't see used as much, but this one does. Plugs into there, and then it provides a screen on the top, a touch overlay, which connects, I think, through I2C on this one. And then it has also an SD card, which is kind of cool. It has a stemma port, so you could easily plug in other sensors and things through it if you wanted. It looks like it has all sorts of jumpers and stuff on the back to set up different things. I don't know if we'll need to mess with any of those. I haven't done any of them yet, so we'll see once we jump into it. So I got one of these this week. I want to try it out with the Metro S3. In particular, I'm interested in kind of a specific aspect of it, or maybe I suppose two specific aspects of it is getting the screen working, because I'm definitely a sucker for display I/O and just playing with new screens in general. But also the SD card, I think I have a particular interest in this case, because I'm curious if we can use the SD card that is on this shield with that Metro S3. I think that I discovered on the Metro S3 that I have, if I understand correctly, I think there is going to be a hardware revision for that, and I have an older one which the SD card won't work on with CircuitPython. I think maybe. I don't know all of the details, but that is the understanding I came to when I tried it, plus listening to, I think it was Scott, say something about it at some point in the weeds or during a meeting. But this SD card is connected through different pins. If I understand the problem, it's that the pins that are used for the SD card that are built into the Metro on the revision I have, which is no longer available, those pins are in use for something else, but this should be using different pins, so maybe we can use it, in which case I think it'd be really cool, because an SD card is actually a super handy companion to an HTTP server, which is the stuff that we will get into afterwards, because if you have an SD card, you can store, for all intents and purposes, an infinite amount of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, images, data files, anything you want, right? 32 gigabyte SD card is very, very cheap. 32 gigabytes is a lot of storage for everything except for like videos and, I don't know, massive data sets for massive companies across the whole internet or something. But for a basic web server, a basic website, that is plenty amount of space to store everything you could ever dream of needing. We will get to the Learn Guide. I think I have actually the Learn Guide up. So we want to go to the CircuitPython. It's Rev E is what the hardware says. Rev E, I think maybe the blue one might have been Rev B back then, but we no longer have the pictures. We could try Wayback Machine or something. I don't think I'm going to go that far for it. Actually, there might be pictures of the back on this page. Oh, indeed, yeah, there are. This is it not even on the back after all that? Is this Rev B? Version 2. Version 2, the old way to say Rev B. I don't have the front on that one. Is there front on the product page? Anyway, it doesn't really matter that much. Well, the front's all covered up by the display, so yeah, surely it'd be on the back. And it is where the B is at, right? Or E in my case, actually, yeah. So I'm guessing V2, maybe at some point, Lady Ada changed to just using letters. That's my best guess. It is smaller. It's more compact. So there, it says some stuff like jumping and slicing, and I don't know if we need to do that. I'm going to try without. If we do need to do that, then I probably won't stop and do it. I don't have like soldering set up, although one of these days it might be cool to get the soldering station set up here on the stream, but that's not today. So we have basic display IO example. We'll go to here. This is not plugged in. It does power up, so that's a good sign. Backlight's on. A little hard to see, I guess. Maybe I should have not done the camera light. Of course, that makes everything else well, but we're not going to be showing like plain white the whole time, I guess, but see how it goes. I don't see. Still the template stuff. Testing. Hold it wrong. Need to copy it again now. I never copied it the first time. Boy, I don't use this enough. I should use this. I think that's talking about maybe using. If you use the pins on the edges, I think maybe this is talking about doing that. If you use board.spy, I think it's going to be on the 6-pack. I don't really use Metro shape that much, truthfully. I'm a lot more familiar with feathers. Let's try import. Spy? Yeah, okay, let's try it like that. And this one does not set up the SD card, just the screen. Probably don't have the right libraries. Yeah. Let's try circup install auto pi. Gotta use pi right now because I have my device on like latest latest main. Actually, I think we're on 8.2. Maybe I don't have to use pi right now. I'm not sure. Oh, it disconnected. That's not good. Probably hard crashed. Uh-oh. So let's take a look at what we're doing here. Let's do spy, release displays, spy. 10 and 9, and then it creates a 4-wire, and then it creates an IL. And my presumption is that it hard crashes just by doing those things. Comment out all of this and try again. Is that reset? Nice. Oh, I didn't save. Ooh, okay. Okay, thank you to CircuitPython for having safe mode that makes it hard to just like completely wreck yourself. So many microcontrollers where now that I have code that is seemingly, ultimately hard crashing, we would just be like stuck, hard locked. But we have so many ways to recover that I'm not worried about it at all. I would have to take the shield off to reach the boot button if we had to go that route, which is quite the hardship, let me tell you. Let's see, so yeah, we're still crashing after. So is it when we create the bus or when we create the display? And then I'll also figure out what version I'm on and we'll go install a newer version and we'll try some stuff. But it could be maybe that this doesn't work for the same reason that the built-in SD card doesn't work. That could be possible as well. Interesting that, oh, okay, it's just scrolling me weird. Okay, I was like, it's interesting that CodePy keeps disappearing. So in safe mode, when I save CodePy, so it's crashing and we're going into safe mode, and then when I save CodePy, it because we're in safe mode, it does not rerun. It does not rerun the new version of this. So then I press the reset button, which then will reset the device, take us out of safe mode, and then execute that again. The new version of CodePy. It allows us to save CodePy in safe mode, but just not execute. Yeah, okay, so even still. So it's when we make the 4-wire, seems like. However, it does, the drive does disappear and reappear, and PyCharm doesn't really, does not like that so much when the file is open. So we keep getting this going on. Surely it's on this code, right? I would be shocked if it came before that. So we should be able to live this time, I think. Oh, interesting. We caught some other outputs that time. It's like the stuff Scott was seeing yesterday. No, it still happened, actually. No, watchdog timer? But I have done almost nothing. Spy bus or display or release displays? It's released, but there are no displays. That would be weird. Hey, that time it succeeded. Just getting the spy bus, huh? That's weird. Go look at the Metro Learn Guide page and see if there's anything stands out about the spy bus. And like I mean, I can't really confirm all the way, but like I was talking about before, my understanding is that this one, there will be a new rev anyway. So it's very possible that it just, whatever is ultimately going to have to change, could have to change for us to do what we're trying to do here as well. I do not know. I am not knowledgeable enough about the problem or the current version of the board. Okay, yeah, there's definitely no spy pins along the sides. See if it mentions anything kind of like gotcha wise when it talks about the okay, doesn't mention much. Oh, interesting. There's a battery into that. Battery monitor, not an actual battery. Sorry, I didn't finish that thought. If we... Okay, first of all, let's update. And go even newer. I'm on 9 something, it looks like, because I think I took brand newest from S3. There's A26, we could try that, I guess? Let's download that, we could try it maybe. But I will also get... I don't... Double tap reset on it? You can keep straight which boards are double tap reset and which boards you need to use the boot button. And make it more confusing for myself, I think there are boards where you need to use the boot button if you do it when you get it out of the box, but then if you install a new thing, you can then forth do it with double tap. So you can like convert it, work both of them. Let's try initializing the SPI bus from the REPL instead of CodePy. Maybe it's the combination of both of those? It might be worth trying the SPI bus without. I mean, that's what I'm about to do, I guess. SCK is in use. Okay. I mean, if you did display or release displays, then I guess that would no longer be in use, but I suppose it's in use by something that's pretty important, so releasing it then reinitializing it is causing hard fault? No, we still get the same thing when I do it in here. That's interesting. So it's different when you run it from CodePy. Hmm. Why do we not get SCK in use? From when we run it in CodePy, but then also why do we get SCK in use when we have already released the display? Something else is using it, I guess. The answer there. Oh, okay. That actually make a difference, or is it just behaving differently now? It's behaving differently now. Okay, so it does not hard crash anymore, but instead we just are stuck on that. Okay. I could try the 826. I don't think it will make a difference. I mean, I guess it will probably go back to the same behavior we had a second ago. In Metro? Oh, this time it hard crashed, I think. Or no, it didn't. No, it didn't. I'm trying to get to boot though, and I did fail to do that. Go. Favicon. Why is there a favicon in the boot? I don't know how to open it. You open it with GIMP? Huh. But it's not a web server. Oh, but well, is it okay? Is there a web server version of the bootloader now? Or no? There's an index HTML as well, I guess. Oh, okay. I mean, I guess if there's, but I think there used to be that as well too. That's not new, right? I guess probably they just added it to go along with that. This is like, I think it points you to somewhere. Basically, just a little wrapper that I think ultimately it points you to CircuitPython.org, maybe. Adafruit, okay. Computer X. Did they use JavaScript? Yeah. I appreciate the succinctness of this file. I mean, every byte counts, I guess, so it makes total sense. But I see a lot of more space used in modern HTML. Okay, let's get back to what we're doing. We're wandering here, aren't we? Download this. I wonder if that could be different per device. It'd be interesting if it would link you to the device that you're on. Oh, this is a feather. Shoot. Scroll too far? Wait, what happened here? An unfortunate coincidence. There were also two ESPs and I just didn't look that it said feather. So can I paste? I don't know what to do. Do I delete this one? Usually when I paste the wrong... yeah, so unfortunately I have done this before, but in the times when this has happened before, after I pasted it, it still restarted, which is what it normally does after you paste a UF2 file. But then, like, it just restarted back to the bootloader instead of CircuitPython. This time it just stayed in the bootloader with that file. Okay, seems like we're good. Yeah, so like I was talking about before, thank you CircuitPython for making it hard to accidentally just completely wreck your device by doing silly things. Yeah, I don't know. We always get that now, which is better than the crash we were getting, but it's not gonna let us use the display. It did crash when I had only the SPI bus, right? Yeah, because we weren't getting this. That's so weird. I don't know. Maybe that version I had was weird. I think it would have just been the top from S3 at some time. Whenever the last time I downloaded it was. I don't know. Okay, let's take all this out. Does not look like we're going to make that work, so let's just do this for now. Put this back to blank. Reset this. Let's reset it with the reset button. Actually, let me take the shield off of it as well. Let me take the shield off of it. Doesn't really matter probably that much, but we'll have to play with this one on a different metro. And at some point, there will be a new revision of this one. And we'll get that as well. Okay. Plain metro. And if we want to use an SD card, we can switch it on over to the other setup with an SD card. I think we don't need it though. Some distraction. Getting our feet attacked. This is what I was working in before. This back. This is for the templating, like HTML web templating. I mean, you could template any strings, I guess, but use with the web server is how it's used in this context. And I do want to update. I know I don't have. Oh, I wonder. Using the PR one. I don't know why I have two of those. We'll want to update. Michael's been working on this. I've done a bit of testing. We worked together a couple of times on this, or once so far, and we will again here in the next day. This is going to delete that and then paste this one in. So for folks who have never used like Python web frameworks like Flask or Django, This is basically a templating engine that works very similarly to those. Those frameworks have options to use different templating engines. I gotta wipe my nose real quick. Be right back. Okay, sorry about that. So, and the specific bit that I've been testing, the stuff that I was working on the last time I set this down was the block, extends block, to be able to kind of like take chunks out of one file and insert them into another file and then override them if you want. Which probably doesn't explain it very well, but it'll be easier to understand once we see it. To show you the code side first, let's see, which one of these was I working with last? I think snippets I was doing last, if I recall right. So snippets, snippets.html extends base.html. So what that means is that when it gets rendered on the page, the code that is on the page is not just going to be the HTML from snippets.html, which is good because if you look at the top of snippets.html, we don't have like, the HTML tag, the head tag, the body tag. We don't have any of that sort of like boilerplate stuff. We just have our extends, which isn't even HTML, it's actually templating language. We have this block content, which goes along with the extends. Then we have some HTML, which is all valid, but just regular old elements, not like body or anything structural. And then we end. And then we have this, whatever this is, some kind of CSS is kind of just shoved in the middle. Not sure if we need that. And then the rest of our page is actually inside a base. It does not want to let me click through to, so I'll open this way. So this is where the rest of our boilerplate HTML is, and then somewhere in here is the block content. Right there, block content. Why did this not find a result? Oh, I did two spaces? Did two spaces, okay. Did want to stay there. So in this case, block content is inside base HTML, and then what will happen is the section inside snippets where we put block content, that will kind of get plastered into this block within the base. And then you can optionally choose whether or not the stuff inside of here is going to come through. You could also just not have stuff inside of here as well if you wanted. In fact, this is a bit more typical in my usage. I didn't know you could have stuff inside the parent, but it does actually end up working this way too, which is kind of cool. And so then all of that happens just in render, is we have snippets, and snippets says that it extends base, and base has all of its stuff. So everything will just happen for us. Plop all of those together, and then that will get returned when we send a request to /snippets. So our server is running. And after the music has resumed, okay, 154. Copy for some reason. Why not? Not highlighted, I guess. Now that's going to be in a different window. The right window, actually. Okay. Enough P's for snippets. Okay. Okay, so in my case, base is everything except for this stuff. Everything except for the things in this kind of column midsection right here. All the stuff below is part of base, all the stuff at the bottom, all the stuff on the side, all the stuff at the top. Everything else, all that's all part of base, but this sort of main chunk here on the right column in the middle, that stuff is inside snippets. And this is kind of a common usage of this block mechanism, because now we could have a different route, like, well, I do have other stuff. What was other stuff? Is that's also extending base? Okay, yeah, let's try that one actually, before we do a new one. I will make another new one as well, but let's go to that. So other stuff, very uncreatively named. So this extends base as well. Other stuff.html extends base, and it has its own block content. This one has different things inside of it though. Different header, just some, honestly, just filler stuff that I, oh, that's why we, right. That's why we have random CSS, because the samples that I grabbed are docs pages. They're like examples of docs pages, and so in this case, the documentation is of CSS, although very compact. I would want to add some white space in that personally. One thing that crossed my mind that would be kind of cool and a bit meta is like, what if we made one to document itself? That's kind of like an ultimate torture test too, because we will have to get it to not recognize any stuff inside of there. So instead of const, let's say, what's this at? Const title. Let's call this block. Call that the same. We'll just say message body block content can be fit. I mean, it goes both ways, I guess. It's kind of used both. So block of content that will be populated by a extends parent/child relationship. I don't know if there's better terminology. I'm almost certain there's probably better terminology for that, but and then let me leave it like that and just try to make sure it's working for here. Okay. It has JS over here. We don't actually using that, I'm guessing. Oh, JS here, okay. I mean, I'll put Python, but it's not technically Python either. That didn't actually work though. Okay. So can we actually have this inside of here? I think probably we can't have it block. We'll need to use some escaping. And then I'll do like name like this. Actually, I like square brackets, I think. But then this will not work because it will try to use that as a real template. So I have a plan for that, which is use these instead. Find the bracket is 123 and 125. It's interesting that those aren't next to each other. So I think if we do this one here, I'll just paste the same one and change it. This one here, then I think we can. Not used to the favicon here. Actually, I'm not. No, it had a favicon. Nice. There we go. Okay, we did get an extra space. That's probably just, yeah, okay, that's this. Yeah. That probably came from a paste. Yeah. There we go. Nice. Cool. So we could have like a self-documenting page that shows you what these things do. We will need to also, we should put the end block. kind of wish this was like on its own, I think. Does the white space in here matter? Like, does that mess it up? It does matter, but I wouldn't call it like messed up necessarily, but I do think we want to chunk it back. And it will be weird, but we'll just use those entities for that. And then we need an end block. Oh, and then do you have to do... Right, you do have to do the name, which I wasn't used to, but that is how this one... So then we could have in here... Something weird driving by. Let's see. Parent or child content here. Oh. Roy-T-O. We have the same problem. Well, we have... I mean, I think of it as the same problem as this. It's different characters and it's a different language. It's a different interpreter. But we have the same base problem, which is that we're using code that one of our interpreter layers is doing something with. We need to not do that. Is greater than? Okay. There we go. Cool. It's weird to me that this is in like an alert box that's green. I should shout out, I don't think I mentioned it during the stream, but this came from Bulma Templates, which is a site / repository that has a bunch of free, permissively licensed, I think they're all MIT, the ones I've seen are MIT at least, kind of like template page, like little sample pages of all sorts of different types of websites here. Hail Saul blog post? That's new, I think. I don't recall seeing that cap there before. Maybe. I don't remember something to do with docs, but there's at least 2 different docs ones because I've used a different one before. Here, this one looks like it's supposed to be docs as well, and that's not what we're using, so there's at least 3. Oh, cheat sheet, that's what it was. That's right. The one I'm using right now is cheat sheet. I also have used... It had red in it. The one with red. Maybe that came from a different source. Guess maybe that one came from a different source. Yeah, I suppose so. I used a different documentation sample page for capture the flag thing. You could try HTML safe in the HTML safe for this in the in which part? For the greater than less thans here? Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, because that will replace them. Yeah. Yeah, totally true. Let's see. Let's try this. Oops. And that's called HTML safe. We don't have to import it into here. We will have to make sure it's imported. But this will be the string. Okay. And then, whoops, let's do that. And my editor here doesn't really know about this being a possibility, so it will be mad at me with some reds here, but that's fine. I may not have it imported correctly, we'll see. No, yeah, it totally worked. It does have no new lines, but that makes sense because I took the new lines out of it. Did I? Does that, maybe that does that take away new lines? Does this matter? Let's see what that does. Oh wait, where did our H come from? Well, I think the H from HTML safe got stuck out somewhere. Oh, interesting. That added a space up here, but I don't get my space at the end. I do still have a 123. Oh, but that's my end block. Hey. Out, my dude. Let me see code and let's see if we have, how do we import this from? Oh, maybe you don't have to import it, I guess. I don't actually have it in here. Do I have to import that? I it's not JavaScript. If I do it this way, I don't think we even need these anymore. I don't know how this one will shake out. Try like this. I'm not sure if that will work. Oops. Does it have, oops. Just can't enter without tab also. Does it have comments like this? I don't remember. Use HTML comments if not. Let me try just like that and see if it disappears. Oh, but yeah, but that should be fine. Ooh, I don't know. Okay, no, it does not have those. Okay, let's do HTML. Why we got a other half of that there? I crushed this. I jumped the gun. There we go. Okay, yeah, we have empty now, and then if I populate it by, I just called that code, which is awfully broad, isn't it? But oh, right, hashtags. Yeah, I forget about that. For some reason, I always am using. I think that exists in Django as well. Maybe there is no actual reason. Oh, but are those? Is that single line? For some reason, I don't use these ones. I never think about them. But it's not defined. Oh, I need to use context. Whoa. Haven't saved yet. Go. Are these, maybe these are per line? Can I turn them on like this? Okay. They are, I think they are per line. What happens if you do multiple lines, but then like this? Surprised this did not break it horribly. Still getting rendered in? This guy might still be breaking stuff too. Yeah, let's see in there. Okay. My guess is we have our comment back in there now as well. Oh, weird. I don't know how all these spans got in here. Wow. I mean, I guess it's the syntax highlighting. Yeah, it has to be the syntax highlighting. I think this doesn't show us comments either, though, does it? Oh, okay, that's very difficult to read. That's all right. I think the comment's in there. We would still need to use the HTML encoding. I think we still have the same problem, which is that these get interpreted. HTML save. That if we want to use it here, we definitely will need to put it. There we go. And now the only thing that's weird is we have some indentation and some extra white space that we don't really need. And do this, and why do we have that indentation? So I guess maybe we try like this. Wait, that didn't work. But we changed CodePy, so we have to restart. There we go. You have a lot of white space at the top. Maybe that's in this, though, probably? Yeah. A little bit. Oh, that time we changed the template and not the CodePy, so I actually did not have to restart, but I did it instinctually. There we go. Nice. By A extends. Cool. Next one down, let's do include. Let me also rename that from code. Let's call this actual block sample code. Like include. And this one does not have. Is there a semicolon in that? Yeah. That's definitely not necessary. That's from the ampersand thing. I like this better than using the ampersands because in our code it's actually like copy pastable, whereas before only in the rendered HTML is it copy pastable. The code had the entities, so if you paste them, it's not going to work into whatever else you're trying to do in your Python template. Include will take that one back. That we can say snippets. Didn't pull this back. I didn't have the comma there. I don't think we need the HTML safe on this one, but I mean, there's no like. Probably better to be safe than sorry. I think there's a downside to using it here. Ooh. Made it back to safe mode. So lost my change there. Can I have that back? Hey, PyCharm. Save it and then I'll reset. Maybe that watchdog timer thing was not quite as tied to what I was doing with the. Alright, we're not actually using this on the page anywhere. Maybe that was not quite as tied to the shield as I had kind of assumed. Code is right here. I guess we could do that one like this. Of the I info circle. I'll set these all to Python. B. Which they would not have. It kind of makes sense, but I wish there was one global mapping of those because I always want to change the one name of whatever I'm looking for, but It's like F, A, B, and C, and S, and all these different things. We could make a variable one. I think I'm going to delete the last one. I'm going to get rid of this more to come in the last one. I'm going to copy this box here. Variable. Substitute the value of the variable into the page, into the, I'm just gonna call it a page. It's gonna be kind of loud, probably, sorry. That came through, don't know. Sirens just driven by. Fire truck, probably. Context, so that will be the variable sample code. Variable. Two R's variable are there. Variable code. Which doesn't exist, so it should actually be an error, I think, or, yeah. I can add it, comma, duplicate, delete, variable. I think we should do it with the context, right? Context, then quotes. And then it is a bit awkward. I don't want to put the square brackets in here to indicate that you're supposed to swap in the name, since it's also literally in square brackets. Because like here, file name, I put those square brackets in there kind of as an indicator in the documentation to say you're supposed to swap your own thing into that. Same thing for name here. It would be a bit awkward here because we have actual literal square brackets that we're supposed to use for real, so no, maybe use the angle brackets, but I'm to probably just leave it for now. It crashed it on the last run, yeah. Oh, I also did not name this correctly, so it's not going to work on this one either. Oh, saved CircuitPy, so we got to restart. What are the tags I'm not thinking of? So comments, I guess, is one we could do. What are the other ones? I think any more. Well, there's things like loops, of course, and if. Yeah, let's do those. Actually, see them represented here. I guess they probably just, they don't need their own functions for some reason, but there's definitely like loops. So let's say snippets. Let's make a new box. Say for loop. For loop. Good morning, Johnny. How's it going? Missed part of the stream, was working on putting together brackets. Nice, for the matrix panel. Nice. Are you up to, saw your note on the meeting, are you up to 6 now? Is that what you're working on bracketing together? Are you onto the bigger and better, up to 9 or something like that at this point? Published my first Python library on PyPy yesterday. Nice, congratulations. Library to control the Electro Brocube watering device. 12 panels, wow. Dang. That's crazy. Do you have multiple power bricks, power sources, or are you still running off one with that? Like maybe like a countertop thing? Oh. Oh, that's pretty sweet. Yeah, I never heard of this thing. I'm guessing there's a reservoir somewhere. You fill up the reservoir, and then this can like has these little kind of octopus tubes running out to each one, and it can water. Huh, that's really smart. So you got a Python, you have a Python library now published to control this thing, to control it through what like interface are you controlling it through? Is it it has a mobile app, so then from the mobile app it could either be Bluetooth or it could be connected to the network, and it could be sending triggers across the network. In your library, Johnny, which are you? Is it network or Bluetooth or something different from those that you're controlling it? There's sensor plugins as well, so it can actually get feedback. That's really cool. Nice. Start making the Home Assistant integration today. Wi-Fi. Like maybe at least 2 power. Are those little cagey things look like power related to my untrained eye? 1.5 liter reservoir. Nice. And so you've got these like brackets here, I'm guessing then, is what you've printed and are in the process of assembling. Or I mean, at this point you have it looking pretty well assembled to my eye, but maybe there's still, these just screw on, looks like at the 4 points where the intersections meet. Nice. 2x 5 volt 18 amp PSUs. Okay, yeah, so that's definitely pulling some pixies through. Man, that's crazy. You're like you're getting up there. Like those, I've played with commercial ones of those panels once. I mean, we played with them for a couple of weeks. We had a chance to mess around with them, but it was only for one like project thing essentially. You're getting up to about the size of the commercial ones, honestly. Like they're not super huge, but what they do is they just tile lots and lots and lots of them together, which I mean is what you've built up here with the smaller ones, but they had their own fancy video adapter system basically. It's fancy like custom computer with its own software in it. Driven by the Matrix Portal S3. Nice. That is crazy. As Matrix is that. Yeah, and well, if it's 12 panels in pixels, I'm not sure what that ends up being. 32 by 64 per panel, I think. Of course, there's different size panels too. I'm not sure what all of them are. Okay, let's do for loop. Iterate over the items in the list. So that's going to be more like, well, we'll say for sample code. For loop sample code. I kind of like the self-documenting aspect of this. Originally, I was thinking of just like doing this as a test, but honestly, this might be a nice thing to include as a thing in the examples folder as kind of like a It's an example of how it works, but it's also sort of self-documenting. Could we put like a UL or something in here to show more of a like real world use case, maybe? That's the amount of, yeah. 192 by 128, goodness. Crazy. Compared to a TFT. Oh, that's true, yeah, I mean, TFT pixels are so tiny. Give it as a massive PCB. Int4, and then here we could, the indentation is optional, but I kind of like the indentation personally, and then we'll use a variable one as well. So in this case, actually, we don't do it through context. Here we just say item. Technically, it could be like, you know, item dot, if it had properties or whatever, we could use those as well, but for now I'll kind of pretend like it's more of a basic one. All right, variable loop. Okay, we did save CircuitPy. Oops. Rename this one. Need to restart. Fixed it today. Maybe have to turn it on. Fingers crossed. Yep, fingers crossed here as well. It's okay, so we have our UL for item. Oops, for item. I should probably run this sample code in a template to make sure I don't have, don't have syntax errors. Okay, I definitely did just then. Does HTML safe get rid of brackets as well? It does. It might even be worth being slightly more generic on the name. Because my next question is, would it make sense to have a like template safe function that would do the brackets and probably the percents as well? But this is actually already handling it. So it might be okay to make that more broad, but it is weird. I always did think it was weird how Django's is just safe by itself, which is like broad but less descriptive, which I guess is the trade-off. Item in context, list variable name. We would get that out of context. We're looping over it. We create an li for each one. Cool. Handling it, but it replaces with the HTML counterparts, the entities with the ampersand stuff. Yeah. Spec. So then we can do next if statement. It's weird that it just refuses to copy this exactly how it was with the indentation there. Honestly, the triple quote string with the way the indentation works is one of the few bits of Python syntax that kind of does bother me still. Like, I don't know, anybody who learned a language where whitespace does not matter first and then came to Python, I suspect probably had an adjusting period where it felt weird that white space mattered, but then like eventually you get over the hump and it feels natural, but then you want to use triple ticks and you end up with this weird thing where the tabs in there are literal, so they show up in the end result. So you have to like have this weird zigzaggy thing going on here that's completely anti the concept of Python indentation. I'm sure it would be super hard and complex. I kind of wish it would work where this could be in line like this, and then these tabs would be deleted. Like these would not technically be part of the string. But that's also probably just asking for trouble to have the string being silently manipulated. Anyway. Let's say if context variable name true. I don't know, you probably would not technically need the equals true, especially if it's a Boolean, but you can also call functions, you can do different things. Maybe we'll show a couple examples of this one. Coming from PHP and figuring out indentation as part of a syntax messed me up for a while, yeah. Yeah, mine was Java originally, and then got into Python, and it took me a while. Like, probably on the scale of years. It was a couple of years before I was honestly, like, really comfortable with the way that whitespace and Python work, which is to say whitespace matters, and you have to keep your indentions correct. Oh, interesting. So you can make individual one-line strings, but then take advantage of the fact that if you put two strings next to each other with no operator, they get smushed together. It's kind of interesting, yeah. I don't like having the quotes on every line, but in my case, I'm only using 3 lines and it ends up being the same amount of quotes. That's a good trick. I will definitely use that at some point, I'm sure. There are going to be cases where I would like that better. Yeah. Yeah, it concatenates automatically without even, I guess, does it do the same thing as if you would put a plus operator, I think, maybe. Span. Let's say here we put, say, variable name is true. And if have say function name. Then we would say function name returned true. Or join with the new lines. We do as well to get them new lines separated. If sample, to do plus, if the lines get long and Python complains, yeah. Yeah, that's my, I mean, yeah, usually I'm just doing like Control Alt L and letting PyCharm deal with it. I don't use the multi-line strings that much, like, it doesn't come up too often, but when it does, one of the things that it always freaks me out a bit is the indentation works. I don't think I added a block for this, did I? Yeah, we made a variable, but we did not actually add a block. Okay, but we should be able to now change our template and not have to rerun CodePy. If statement. Or should we say if logic? Let's just say plus with requests. I think requests projects maybe with why I'm used to using plus. Sure, part of requests maybe. Like you mean adding up the URL or something? That's gonna be conditionally include some content on the page at this location. If sample code. Statement conditionally includes some content on the page at this location. Skipped out on a space here. It's unfortunately inside CircuitPy, so we need to restart. Oh, I should have looked at the rest of them before I restarted, because I also skipped out on a space here. URLs, swap back and forth between parameters and inputting variables. Go. Both a blessing and a curse. On one hand, it forces people not to be absolute barbarians and use no white space. On the other hand, it can cause some very difficult to catch bugs, particularly if you have a piece of code that shouldn't be at the end of a loop or vice versa. Yeah, I do find sometimes like the jump back to the left at the end of a long block sometimes screws me over. My indentation is not set correctly, and because it's like at the end of a big long other block, I don't catch it right away. And it's either like doing something inside the loop that I'm not expecting to, or it's doing something outside the loop that I'm not expecting to, or it went another level back and it wasn't supposed to. You get wrecked by that sometimes, for sure. I would say like minification is nice though. I mean, nobody wants to read minified code, but there's something nice about the idea of JavaScript and CSS and stuff that can get crunched super small minification. I mean, Python is not traveling over the network that much though, so it really doesn't need to be having that capability. For loop if statement. What else do we want? There's a while loop. Is that the only other thing we're missing at this point? Exec. If I didn't do an else, we should probably do an else inside of our if example actually. Maybe we'll do the else. Maybe we'll do this as a string actually. Let's say if context variable name equals success. Variable name was success. I mean, technically the value of the variable. Should we just call, maybe we should just call this variable? Maybe we should say value. Value was success. Elif. Then we can do else. Unexpected value. Talk to developer. Span him. Okay, there we go. Now we got a better sample that actually shows. Except I changed CircuitPy. We need to restart. Know what ASP is for. See what I missed here. Trying to unminify some random websites. I'm just copy pasting lines. Ending with comma might fail if the last line has comma. Just syntax, those don't matter. I'm talking about is putting lines with the wrong indentation. And unminify random websites. Don't wish on anything. I mean, there's tools to do it pretty well. I would not. To your point, I would not want to write the tool to do it, but that part's definitely true. Mixing two languages, one file. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, templates are like that kind of. I've run into some weird oddities with templates in Django where we have JavaScript embedded in some weird spots and it uses syntax that freaks it out sometimes. I mean, lines declaring the end of a block open up to the entire category of bug that can't be caught. Like that's their whole motto. Let's see here. So we'll go able to reload now with the if statement. Okay. If context variable name equals success, elif variable name equals failed, else unexpected value, and then we're filling in whatever the value of that was. So like when it got rendered on the page, it would say like unexpected value, you know, banana or whatever was in there, and would say talk to developer. Then we got endif, and this one shows that you can call functions as well. Cool. Let's get our while loop next. Does not have as much. We'll do it kind of like this one. Still, I did not actually ever think of a good use case for a while loop in here. What is this one doing? This one ended up doing just counting anyway. You could do this with a for loop. And I mean, I guess this is an example that could show what it does, but it's not very practical. Like, why would you want to repeatedly drop these things on your page until some function returns true? Can't think of a good reason anybody would want to do that. Is there an example of what anyone has done with this? It's counting. Could be a for loop. So just counting. Is it not real? Does it not actually exist in Django? I mean, I assumed it did. Get the Django doc. This one is. What? Actually, there's. It's probably not then, I guess. Okay, that does not exist in Django. I have 4 in this loop anyway, though. In this list, I mean. If. Or actually, first of. No. Doesn't have any mechanism to protect you from this. Yeah. After you jump back, it's hard to figure out where you're at next. Okay. In that case, I don't feel so bad about using one that's just counting, I guess. It's not, like a real world thing, but it technically has exec in it as well. So maybe we should put exec above while. Goes into the parenthesis ones, exec, and then it's just put your Python code in there with it. Fair catch. Yeah, but then you just have another layer of indentation. I haven't watched that movie in a long time. It's pretty funny though. That was one of the first DVDs I got. Speaking of DVDs, if anybody has tips for watching DVDs on Linux, I'm all ears on that. DVD from the library, and I'm realizing that this computer just doesn't play it. I didn't actually have a DVD drive, so I got an external one. Still cannot play the DVD. Assuming I need to install and or configure something, such as kind of just life on Linux, I guess. I don't think I added a box. Exec. Execute. Prairie Python code. Not just VLC. I think I actually tried VLC. I will try VLC. I did not actually try. I tried the stock videos, whatever that is, just videos, the thing that opens up if you double click a video. This one failed. It's printed out some message that it didn't have something it needed, and then you click on the thing where it says like, do you want to search for this thing? You click on that and it opens up this to a thing was not found. And I was like, okay, that was helpful. Did I install libdvd css2? I don't know for sure. I remember seeing that come up. Sudo app. Thank you for the suggestions, by the way, everybody. I really appreciate it. libdvd cs2. I guess not. Is that one that you need another repository or whatever? Would I have to do a like add something something if I'm on stock Ubuntu 20 something? I'm not sure which one. I could try to find out. Pretty sure VLC supports it in the menu via media DVD option, but also VOV files. Maybe it has restricted extras. I did see something that popped up that said restricted. I've been using VLC for like 15 years, still my go-to. I did use VLC for a while on Windows, and I have it installed, so I must have done something with it at some point, but I've been out of the habit of that one. I should have thought to try that. libdvd. I think I did install libdvd. Get back to working on what I was working on here in a second. Well, sorry, I didn't mean to derail us. Oh, interesting. There is actually, maybe do I need this? So there's this, which says it's installed. There's this, whoops. It's DVD read 8, which says it's installed. But there is something, maybe I need this actually, okay. Maybe I need one of those. That's something to try, okay. Got several things to try. Yeah, I mean, I do have, I've got that one installed, VLC. I don't know, Lord only knows what version it is. libcss is the other one. Let me check that. Search app libcss. That's weird that it's called CSS. What does that stand for, I wonder? Oops, hey, that's spelled wrong. Compressor. Oh no, this is a different thing though. Fire, packer, parser, Perl, tiny. Well, it looks like it's for CSS. But was that the 2? Maybe is that a 2? But that would have come up in the search probably. Okay. Well, have a look around for some of that stuff. I do really appreciate the suggestions. Did put our block, I think, but I did not change the code that's in it, right? So it's, I don't know, looks like it's not even, I didn't even save it actually, okay. Execute some arbitrary Python code. We're going to put in context exec example code. Save. Yeah, okay, exec. Execute some arbitrary Python code. Exec Python statement. Out of coffee, surely. Probably. It's wishful coffee sipping at this point. Oop. Let's take the counting one we did here. Should I say while loop? That's the only. I could get used to having that real small. Okay. Got all of them. Comments. Probably move comment to the top. Comment tends to be one of the first syntaxes you learn for new stuff. Okay. Experience / opinion. I think it should be one of the first things you learn. Wait, what am I doing? This is not what I need. Kidding? Honestly, there's a couple of changes I'd make to the order of these, I suppose. Cool. Box page for this, but. Did I restart because I changed CircuitPy? Cool. And then we could split this up even further just to kind of exercise the blocks even more. Like we could make this whole topper thing here into a block, or we could make the whole nav over here into a block. I think I'm going to do that. Let's make the nav into a block. So let's say we'll make a new file, HTML. I'll call this nav. It's going to come with some boilerplate. We can just throw that away. We can say block navigation. End block navigation. Then we go into snippets, we find our, oops, actually we go into base. Can't click through to. Gotta figure out how to get that hooked up. I don't know, I don't think I can get used to this. I always want as much vertical space as possible for looking at the code, but then I also want this quickly available for Control-C, Control-D. I wonder if I could add like a button to this interface. Like, what if I had a button up here that would run Control-C, Control-D inside TO? That would be helpful. Maybe I can get that hooked up with the run button even. That'd be nice. Your new Windows VLC is like the second thing. Yeah, VLC was, I always used this thing for Windows. I used this thing called Ninite, which is a weird name for a thing that makes you like a multi-installer. And yeah, VLC was always amongst the things I would choose from here. 7-zip, I would choose my browsers, Java, Dropbox, Python. This thing's pretty... If you're setting up a new Windows computer, this thing is super helpful. So it gives you, like, you choose what you want, and then it gives you one installer that installs all those things instead of having to go out, find them all separately, which is kind of a pain. Although you should probably do like hash checking or something if you're be safe on that. Not used it in years because I have not used Windows more generally. Actually, I have Windows on the other half of this computer. I don't think I did do a Ninite on it though, because I didn't install that much stuff to it. I think I did do everything manually this time. Zero section container. This is our, what I'm calling the navigation. They've just got section class section, which is not the scripted name in the world, but. So would we want to take the container? Or do we want to take even the entire whole section? Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm glad I started going through here. This is our content. So yeah, we can't just do container. We need to be way more inside of here. It's actually this aside that they've used as the navigation. Take that, we'll put it into our nav. Head back to base, and here we'll put block. But here we also need wait, no, I'm doing this wrong. This is more of an includes than an extends, isn't it? So this is not going to work like this, right? Because we're not, this is not extending base, really. Snippets is extending base. I mean, snippets could have, like, we could put our block. We could have our aside here. That would imply that navigation is going to change per content page, which I don't necessarily. I mean, in my case, I'm not really planning on using the navigation at all, so it's definitely not going to. But even as a sort of real-world example, that doesn't make sense. The only thing maybe that would change would be like which one is highlighted, maybe like if it highlights the page you're on currently or something. We're not even doing that. think we want this here. Yeah, this is really more of a includes than a block. But let's go back to base, and instead of block, I'm gonna do include. And we won't need this or any of this. Never seen that. Thanks. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, my friend of mine that I worked with showed me that. I used it several times over the years when I was setting up Windows. Okay, so now we have our main templates down to only 200 lines. Navigation off on its own. Interesting alignment going. Should be we would need maybe templates nav probably. The page itself should look the same. So we took the same nav as we had before, and now I think, did I crash it, or does it recover from that? It might recover. Also other stuff, though. I don't know what we got off of the snippets page. Okay. Now our navigation is brought in through an include. I think I want to do actually with the header and footer as well. I'm going to consider this whole thing here the footer, even though I mean, like, technically, honestly, probably this would be considered more the footer, and this is like a section on the page, but I'm going to consider that all the footer. I'm going to consider this all the header, and we're going to make a header HTML and a footer HTML. Put this up just a little bit further. Header is this hero section. Make sure that worked. And footer. Actually, oh, they do consider this whole thing the footer, actually. Okay. I figured just that very, very bottom line would be the footer, but whole thing. Footer. I don't know if we want to change these maybe to be relevant for templates. Categories don't make any sense either. Yeah. Okay, you know, enable. Oh, I missed this in Twitch. I think you need to enable software restricted Under software updates. What is this song? I do not recognize this at all. What? Didn't make it all the way through my playlist, did we? On this. Is that a thing in software? I do have that one checked. I don't know what this means though. Click through authentication. No proprietary drivers. Maybe I need a proprietary driver. Okay, I think so. We got our header and our footer are now separated out. Did that work properly? Down should be, yeah. So now our base is down to only 50 lines. Base, what is this? Resize menu list. Loaded relay scroll bars. Know what that's doing. Do we need that? Or what scroll bars it's talking about. But it seems like that still works fine. Size, I don't know that we really need to mess with. I guess this is going to be if we... That's pretty nice, actually. Not super in favor of the way that this mechanism works, just being having the class tags or not, because I feel like these still should be tags here, same as they are when it's narrow, but the only other thing that might make sense to cut out is head, but I'm not sure it's worth it. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to mess with that one. That's cool though. So we have our header, we have our footer split out. So now if we ever wanted to make updates like make this smaller or to make it more relevant to our templating stuff, get rid of Discord. I'm not entirely sure why Discord is here of all things, but we could modify that in the header, and then it would change for both the snippets page and the other stuff page automatically. You would only have to change it in one space, one spot. Super cool. Okay, I do think I'm going to wrap it up there for now. Thank you to everybody for hanging out. Thank you, Michael, again for working on this templating engine. I will. What's the date next? Yeah, I should be back next week at the normal time on Saturday for the stream. I will be gone, I think probably for the following Saturday. I don't think I'll be streaming on the 30th. I'll be out of town that weekend. So I think no stream on the 30th, but I should be back next week on the 23rd at the normal time, 10 a.m. Central Time. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Hope you all have a good day, good rest of your weekend, all that stuff. I will catch you later.